Hey Book Dragons, welcome back to my channel. I'm really glad you could join me. So I have a TV show review for you today. Let's get to it. So I recently watched Nightmare of the Wolf on Netflix. It is part of the Witcher universe. Now, if you're not familiar with The Witcher, the main character in The Witcher tales is Geralt. He's one of the very few last of the Witchers alive, and he goes about killing monsters. That's what Witchers do. They are trained and empowered through a special ritual to work magic and fight off monsters. Nightmare of the Wolf takes place, I'm not exactly sure because Witchers live a long time and they age very slowly from regular humans. But this does take place probably, I would say, at least 30 or 40 years before the events of the Witcher series. So we are following Vesemir, who is Geralt's teacher, his witch master, or whatever they call them. I'm not exactly sure, but anyway, it follows Vesemir, and we get to see Vesemir as an adult Witcher slaying monsters, just like you would normally expect Witchers to do. But we get flashbacks to when he was a kid, before he became a Witcher, and he was a slave. His father was a household slave to a nobleman, and the nobleman's wife comes down with an illness that they discover is being caused by a demon that has possessed her, and they find this out by another Witcher who comes and dispossesses her of the demon, collects his coin and everything like that. And as a result, through a few different other circumstances, Vesemir decides to leave the house and seek out the Witcher to be trained by him. And at this time, there's Kaer Morhen, I believe, is the name of the citadel that the Witchers live at and train at. And there's many, many Witchers at this time right now. Probably at least 50 or 60 Witchers. And it's really cool to see the training process at the beginning, to see how Vesemir is trained and to see some of the ritual that they go through to become Witchers, because not only do they have to go through different trials and skill sets, but they also have to take a poison, and essentially if the poison doesn't kill them, it turns them into this force of power that makes them Witchers. So, in order to become a Witcher, you have to drink the poison, and it either kills you or it doesn't. So it's a really interesting ritual, and it was cool to kind of get to see it, because in the books it's only, well, I shouldn't say, I've only read The Last Wish, but in The Last Wish it didn't talk about it a whole lot, and I haven't played the game, so I don't know much about that. But it was interesting to see the ritual actually being performed. And then, so it goes and it bounces back and forth between Vesemir in the present day and Vesemir when he was a kid. And he's this really interesting adult. He's got a huge ego. He's got a really strong hubris, and it's to his betterment and also to his detriment. And he's a powerful Witcher, though. I mean, he's really good at what he does. At the very beginning, he ends up fighting what's called a Leshen, which kind of seems like a skeletal wraith of sorts, but it's also incorporeal, so it can dissipate and then reappear in other places. Really, really cool. And the monsters in this show were just so much fun and very cool. And to see that mythos kind of brought to life in an animated form, it is animated, I thought was just magnificent. So there was lots of action, great character development, I thought, for what little we got. It's only an hour and a half, a little less than that actually, so there's not a lot of character development to be had, but we get enough. We get Vesemir's character development, and we get some of his main companions that we learn quite a bit about as well. And as the plot goes on, he starts to discover this hidden agenda behind the scenes where certain people are genetically engineering monsters and creating these monstrosities that are roaming the countryside and having to be killed, and yet at the same time there's a huge distrust of the Witchers brewing as well. So you've got all these different elements at play. You've got the hybrid monsters, and you've got the political intrigue that's going on in the courts between the nobles and the Witchers, and it's just a fascinating ride. I highly recommend it. I would not recommend it for young kids, of course. It may be animated, but it's an adult animated cartoon. There is a little bit of nudity. There is language. So, it's not something I would recommend for young kids. Mid to older teens, I don't see a problem with it. But it is rated mature. So use your personal judgment for that. But it is a great and fantastic tale. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was spearheaded by the same people that did the Castlevania series. And I love the Castlevania series. Maybe someday I'll do a review on that. But watch Nightmare of the Wolf, especially if you are a Witcher fan. There is all kinds of Witcher fun to be had in Nightmare of the Wolf. It's just a great story, lots of fun, and giving you a backstory into Geralt's teacher. And you might see a special appearance in the show. I won't say who, but you just may see a special appearance, so watch for that, okay? Let me know what you think in the comments. Have you watched Nightmare of the Wolf? What did you think of it? If you haven't watched it yet, are you excited about it? Are you a Witcher fan? And if you're not, why aren't you? Let me know in the comments. I love to dialogue with you. Please make sure, for those who have not watched it or are unfamiliar with the Witcher series, if you're going to do spoilers, make it very clear in your comments that it is a spoiler-filled comment so that other people are not spoiled. I would really appreciate if you do that. So that's it, guys. I always say read more books, and that still stands. But watch some good fantasy TV too, okay? I'll talk to you later. Take care, guys. Bye.